Yep, it's on.
Right, good evening all. Welcome to the January meeting. Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you, and to you.
Item 1 on our agenda is apologies. Do we have any?
Malcolm. Rather unworthy.
Okay, everyone else. So are we happy to accept Malcolm's apologies?
Yeah.
Okay. Declarations of interest. I'll kick off with my normal council declaration for Somerset Council. And if there's
Nothing in the shop.
report, it was nice. So any declarations from anyone else? Okay. You've all had the minutes from the December meeting. Are there any amendments to those? And if not, can I propose that we accept them as a true and accurate record? Amy? Second, Andy. All happy that I sign them? We have no members of the public, so move on from 4. We have no planning matters either, so we move on from that as well. So we move straight to Owen and the clerk's report.
Yeah, they got there quick, didn't we? Not a great deal to say, and some of them will be covered later on. There's a couple of things. We need to think between now and February about an annual speaker for the annual meeting, whatever format we're going to use for the annual meeting this year. Because believe it or not, it comes around very quickly. Suddenly, next meeting will be in February, so we're going to ask somebody, we need to get on and ask them, basically. So
Was it Tess that we had last year?
Sorry?
Was it Tess that we had last year?
Well, we had that panel last year, which was every other year we were trying to do that. So is anybody you can think of that we could ask that would be useful? Perhaps between now and February we could have a think, and I'll think as well and see what we might be able to.
Do you have any guidance on the type of topic they need to discuss on? So
Just something that's generally related, that's going to be interesting to people and not cost us anything.
Effective.
I would have thought someone from Somerset County Council should, in a higher position, should come along and give us what the future is. I know you
They need
thought of that.
I was going to say they need a crystal ball.
But I think, we had Fothergill on here, didn't we?
Yeah.
He was chairman.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why we couldn't have the Lib Dem guy.
No.
Yeah, and you could combine it then with Tessamont as well.
Andy?
Haven't we got a new police commissioner, head of police or something?
I think her post is abolished at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So.
It's
a bit negative, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
well, can I ask them why it's gone? I was just thinking that most of the surgeries are about traffic compliance.
Yeah.
Is it worth seeing if we can get somebody in from traffic or council that can talk to us about certainly the construction of this new road down the bottom? There's a lot of talk in the village about how it's going to affect the village.
Well, I'll give some thought anyway. There's a couple of other things. Team photo. Now, I've been very reluctant to put Richard along because I'm never quite sure we've got a full house or not. And actually, because the new website will require individual councillors refreshed photographs, it would be quite good if we got an agreement with everybody and have it outside of a meeting. So arrange it for some other time, even at a weekend, to get Richard. Richard will come along anytime and do it for us. So you can do a team photograph, and you can also do the individual ones for the website, which we need to provide them with very soon. So if you've got any ideas about when we could do that, Richard will, I'm sure, accommodate it. But I think it's better outside of a meeting in a way, because you can just concentrate on that, and it doesn't have to be in an evening, of course, it will be in the daytime. So
It's not about first off, but obviously it's Malcolm in it because he's he hasn't been for a couple of times sort of thing. So we've got to try to get hold of him and try to get him here because most of us could probably do it.
Yeah.
But it's too limit, isn't it?
Well, perhaps give it a couple of weeks and see how Malcolm improves, which I'm sure he will, hopefully. And we'll try and do something for us, say, into the month, into January perhaps. I'll send out some suggestions or a few, maybe one Saturday morning even, or Saturday afternoon or whatever, doesn't matter. We can sort something out. Okay. That's that.
And as we won the award for the play area, each councillor can be pictured on the particular piece of equipment.
Good idea. Oh, no, the top of the slide.
just moving on.
Sorry. That's all right.
We need to have a reserves policy now, because one of the things that's coming up on the new A guide of the audit is that we have a policy for our reserves. Now, we haven't had that before, and most parishes haven't had. So I found a suitable one and adapted it accordingly. So our next meeting, I'll be asking you to approve that if you would, so we get it before the end of the year. And just to tell you also, because I came to you when I first started my North Curry experience for 3 months, I ditched it and very pleased to have done so, and got a new clerk to replace. So I'm now single-minded about this.
They're lost.
All right. So that's all for me, actually.
Yeah, just a report in terms of the surgery yesterday. That we had no one came forward this time, so it was very quiet. But, thank you, Ray, for filling in as well. So.
Yeah.
Okay, working groups. Anything on the footpaths that needs to be reported?
I have had an email from a resident reporting a few problems, which I have jotted down. He says that there are problems with some areas where stiles are collapsing, and it seems to be where there's a footbridge, like a plank across the green, and you've got a stile on one end, or in some places a stile on both ends. And he said that some of them have a gate, and on one end, so you go through that, the footbridge is then slippery, and they're not trying to negotiate a stile. Most of them you can't get a dog through, so he's trying to lift his dog over, and they've had some accidents, falling in, and all this kind of stuff. And he's highlighted the ones that the problem. He's actually sent me a map, which he's detailed them, but I kind of know where they are. So the first one is if you go down past the Red Cow, that in between the houses, and this one has come up before. Somebody brought this one up before. I think it was last year. Yeah. Well, he said there's a bridge on one end and a stile on the other end, and he said the stile is causing problems, and it's really difficult to negotiate because the footbridge is really slippery and the stile is difficult to get over, especially with a dog. And the other one is go down to the end of Bodies Lane, turn right, go across the first field, and there's a gate with a pedestrian, the one with a pedestrian gate in it. It's a Bristol gate, isn't it, with a pedestrian gate in it. He said that it's bent to pieces, which it has been for a while, and something must have gone into it because it's been hung in a peculiar manner. And what he said is it's now so high that when you open the pedestrian bit, you can't climb over it, and the dog can't get over it, and it's too high, it's too low to the ground for the dog to get underneath. So what he's been doing is unhanging the gate and lifting it round to try and get the dog through. That gate, I know that where he means, and that gate is a bit of a problem, and it's always horrendously muddy there as well.
Is this,
So,
can we just go back a minute? Is this the first gate on the right as you're walking out towards the railway?
yes.
Okay.
It's the across the narrow field with the rushes in it.
The cows damaged that at one
Yeah.
stage. They bent it all, and it all came off. But what's happened, it's been rehung, and dogs can get underneath, but people find difficulty, or people
Yeah.
would find difficulty getting over it.
And this person
So-
who sent me this email had a very elderly dog, a big dog that they were trying to lift over, and he said literally it was really reducing where they could walk because of these issues. And this is the things that he's highlighted, and as Colin said, cattle did go into it, they bent that gate, so something has to happen with it. And then if you go down Bodies Lane again and go left-handed through the horse field, instead of right-handed towards the railway line, go left. There are two areas, so if you went right again, there's another plank bridge with, and what he said here, hang on, he said there are stiles at both ends, and the bridge is very, very slippery. Again, the stiles are difficult to negotiate, and he's wondering if we could put some chicken wire on the bridge, because he said it's really hard to keep your feet on it. That's the one that you go over it right-handed and you come back round
to
in
the
the loop.
cornfield.
That one, yeah, then it goes through the maze. And then the other one that he's highlighted is the one that comes out into Sheila Berry's field.
Yeah, because both of those were put in by county, they are there.
Yeah.
Notch bridges with.
That one, he's saying, he said that the stile going out towards Brent Street is broken. He said the plank bit is broken and it's very, very difficult to negotiate.
Okay.
That's, again, I haven't been and checked this. He sent me this email the day before yesterday. I haven't had a chance to go down and investigate all this, but I'm just reading.
Colin.
If you go down Bodies Lane, and right by the stables, just past the stables, there is a left-hand turn.
Yes.
There's a metal gate, walk gate, a small walkway, and another metal gate.
Yes.
They are difficult because they put a spring on one of them, and it springs back hard on you, so you've got to be careful with it. But yeah, some chicken wire across there would be a good idea. And also the stile that goes back into Sheila Berry's, it is, you know, where you've got a flat piece of wood on a plinth, that's shaky.
Yeah, and he's saying again he couldn't get the dog, an elderly dog, he couldn't get them through there, and he's trying to lift the dog over, which is, so we've got a few things.
So would council be okay if we get, I think we need to go and have a look to actually detail what these works are.
Yeah,
Are you
we
happy
need
that
to
we
have a
then get in
good
touch
look
with
at it,
Steve? I mean, Steve Pinn did the job last time. We get in touch with him to do the actual repairs.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea actually to go to walk it, and I'm happy to
Yeah,
walk
I
it.
think we need to recce
To
it
walk
first,
it,
a few
yeah.
of us, really.
Walk out towards the railway line, walk down the field and round the back.
Yeah.
But that's Burnham without that far one, isn't it? Far.
The one by the railway line.
No, he's only, the one that we're looking at is the first one.
Yeah.
Through that rushy ground, so that would be
And then that way, and the stile, and then the bridge. We ought to just check that one out because I think some chicken wire on there.
yeah, it wouldn't be too bad. Yeah, I kind of think it would be useful if a few of us went and had a recce, took some photos and maybe decide on, because really I think it is getting that it's easier to put those little pedestrian gates in everywhere rather than stiles, because they're easy to open and close, you know they're shut so they're stop proof, and stiles are.
Some people don't want them
Because we're going to do it with the landowners who are happy to have a gate.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Is that
Okay.
our gate then down the end of Bodies? Where it's
I
been
don't
bent?
think, it's not
our
Tibbs's
gate?
ground.
It's always been there, we never put that on there.
No, but is it Tibbs's ground,
Yeah.
or rushy ground, it is,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
But it's always been, because it used to be the post was 45 degrees for years, and it was always awkward, and then we did some bits and pieces.
It's kind of got worse, hasn't it, over,
Okay,
it's time's gone by and then.
so are you happy to organise?
I'll walk it and take some photographs.
We should write that on the agenda item for February.
Okay.
If it's that bent up, we'll just ask for another Bristol gate,
Yeah,
because you won't be able to straighten it too much.
yeah, and it's like you said, the ground underneath is, isn't it? Yeah, it's that low, we kind of maybe want to fill it that with something, I don't know.
Any other comments on footpaths?
They're in a state.
Yeah.
Muddy.
Or maybe if we were to sort of, as we head into the spring, if there's a decent weather, to maybe get our working party together, go around and try and bring back volunteers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like I say, we was talking, me and Dave, we got my car, we got a little trailer, so it's ideal for the pavements and that lot, so we can go up and down and that lot, trip in, cut in, whatever. So we got that.
Okay.
So that's handy.
Yeah. Okay. Anything on highways?
Are they actually going to do anything about the top of Brent Street where the pavement is falling into the green opposite the cider farm? I mean,
No, because you keep worrying about it.
I mean, it is reported, it is on their list,
Yeah.
but they haven't given us a date as to when they're doing it yet. but yes, it is, something will happen at some point, but there's
Or somebody will fall in.
Yeah, I will
I mean,
flag it to them again.
the barriers keep blowing over, so
Yes.
they're not secure.
Okay,
And Middle Street
That's what,
is still
2 years at
disaster.
least. Yeah, it's
It
been a
is,
long
yeah,
time,
yeah.
isn't it?
The Middle Street barriers, they're going to be in the reams.
White
Yeah.
that one we're getting a quote at the moment.
Right.
To replace what's currently there.
It's not a lot, it's just falling in place.
Hey,
Middle Street, I had a look the other day, and they're only plastic,
yes,
they only just pop together. And
Yeah.
all it is, they're sat on little stays like that,
yes.
in the ground, and they just sit on top. So all they've done is just push them over.
Yeah.
So I think that just needs pulling back.
Yeah, but the concrete, they're set in concrete, and the concrete's starting to
Yeah,
fall
well,
in.
you've got an order.
Well, it's them tractors.
But also, Middle Street Bridge, Wick Road Bridge, they're getting bad.
Yeah.
But the Ham Road one, I followed a 28-ton tarmac lorry over it this morning, like this afternoon, and you can see the whole lot just go like that.
Right.
And you can see it's getting wider because now we've got ordered grass and God knows what growing between it and that lot now. And you go on the other side, and a car went over there the other day. He lives in the village. He must have been doing about 50 going over that bridge, and he just nearly hit me and the missus in the car. And as he went over, obviously the near side went into the dip, and he wrecked his son straight on the bridge. So something's going to happen there one day. If that's not done,
Can we raise all three of those bridges?
Is that the bridge by you?
yeah,
Yeah.
because you hit it, and all of a sudden you're like this.
So it's Middle Street Bridge, it's Lane Bridge,
Yeah,
and
Also
also the,
Station Road.
yeah. The worst one's the M Road one, but
Yeah.
and then it's just that one that.
You might crooked lane to the bridge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Crooked Lane's right,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's bad, yeah.
Yeah, Crooked Lane's well, but
Areas
yeah.
of the badges, yeah.
right, okay.
Okay, anything else on highways? Okay. Village Green report, I think. Oh,
I did that in December, and I chose the right month because there wasn't much I could see in December. It was so mucky and messy. What I did come across when I did it was on the 19th of December. There was an awful lot of rubbish around up in the far corner by the roundabout, a bit further over actually, which I took. Fortunately, I had a bag in the back of the car, so I just took it and cleared it. All those cans and bits of other stuff. I just took it away basically. There's a bit of twig and scrub as well, which I also put over the fence into the area behind the fence, just to clear it out a bit really. But apart from that, couldn't do much with it really. It was just wet, miserable.
Yeah.
ask, have we heard anything from Karen Barnes about the replacement bin? that's supposed to be
No, we
coming in
haven't
front
heard
of
from
the-
Karen. It's on my project tracker actually,
Okay.
but no, I haven't heard a word from her.
We can maybe
So,
chase that.
yeah. So that was all. That was all right. And toilets were lovely clean when I went there. They were all nice and pristine. Apart from that, there wasn't much more to report really. To be honest.
Did you throw it into my field?
Yeah,
I didn't throw it.
The guttering on the back of the bin is broken, where it's been hit by a ball. You can actually see the imprint of the ball on the guttering, so that's all been shattered. So that's why I was saying, if we put a net above that, that's going to stop all that, because that's going to cost money to keep replacing that all the time. So that needs looking at, because that's all busted.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And Charlie's the lucky person for January.
Can it- On the litter thing, just remember that whoever's doing the thing, we have got litter pickers in the cupboard. So you
Right.
don't have to pick up people's litter with your hands.
No, I did with gloves actually, but
Yeah, when you see, you can pick it up and throw it into clothes.
Which cupboard?
Out
In
this
the toilet
cupboard,
cupboard,
yeah,
in between the two.
the store.
Oh, right. And is there a lock on there? or-
There is, and it's the same number that it always used to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get a litter
Oh,
picker.
is it?
I'll put the litter in the field.
Okay, yes, no problem.
perhaps you could leave just a little area just by your, so we can just.
Perhaps you could leave a bin there.
Been there.
Okay. Audit and staffing, I don't think I've made.
Nothing new.
Nothing from the shop liaison flood action group. Any update on that at the moment? I don't think. We've got an update later on the agenda about the stuff behind the church.
I have one item for the flood action group.
Yeah.
It was, do you remember a few meetings ago, we had the guys come in and talk to us, and they promised us a map of where all the, not the reads are, but all the, I can't think what they're called.
Yeah, we've got all the details.
Yeah.
Aidan and I have got it all.
They've shared it all, have they?
Yeah.
Right, okay. I hadn't heard anything of it, and I'm like,
It's
has that been
all
shared?
in the package that we need to deliver to someone.
Perfect.
Okay. Contract review, I think.
That's all completed, and I sent the contract that we sent to Darryl, so you can see what we've said in there. And I should do a similar one for Jason, and a similar one for Stuart Nichols. So we've got contracts for all three main contractors. Okay.
Yeah, anything from the IT working group? We've got the website.
Got the website
on the agenda later, so got anything in addition to that? Okay. And no policy changes this month, but you said there will be something next month. Okay, quick couple of things from Somerset. So the situation, county have just had now the notification from government as what the settlement is for next year. And it's not as good as it was hoped to be. There was talk that there was going to be a fair funding formula brought into local government, which was going to even things out across the country. The draft version of that did benefit some of the more rural areas, and Somerset was going to benefit a bit. It then went back and was rejigged, and it's now taken all those benefits away and passed them into basically the London boroughs predominantly. So it's meaning that we haven't got any extra money over and above what we were hoping to get. In fact, we got less. So there have been further savings that have been proposed, and there's now a debt. There is now a gap in the funding of about 50 odd million for next year. So that is being looked at currently. The planning recovery motion went through full council, and there will be, I think I mentioned last meeting, a charter being brought out as to how the planning team should be working with parish councils and applicants, because at the moment there's been quite a souring of relations in the last few months because of the fact that people weren't able to talk to the planners, and it was all very much, everyone was being kept at arm's length. That's hoping to be improved. The Sunday charging for the car parking has been deferred, but is up for review in the budget round, so that potentially will be back again in the spring. So we will see how that comes out, but it's a complete review of parking strategy now as opposed to just Sunday parking. The other thing was going to mention that there's a big push again for fostering, to try and encourage people to help with fostering, because there is in the time that I've been on Somerset, which is 8 years now, we had about 400 children in care when I first went there. There are now over 650. So there has been a significant increase. They are struggling to house the children themselves and have them in good situations. Quite a few kids actually get housed outside the county still. And obviously that's not great for them, and it costs an absolute fortune. So there is, as I say, there's a big push to try and increase the number of foster families, if that's at all possible. And the final thing was budget for Somerset is going to be set obviously in February, and the new council tax bills will come out in April, May. There's currently an online consultation that anyone can go on through the Somerset Council website, asking questions about what people think of their priorities and where savings should be made and extra charges should be levied. That runs until the 14th of this month, so if you want to make a comment, it will be reported to the executive before they make their decision. So it is worth, if you've got views, please have a look on the somerset.gov.uk website, and there's a link to take you through that for the budget set. Any questions from anyone on anything Somerset related? Okay. Financial report.
So basically, payment list, this is the statutory payments for January 26, unchanged. There's no changes to the statutory payments that we normally make. So we just need approval for that going forward. And of course, coming up to the March meeting, we shall have to look at those statutory payments for the forthcoming year. But soon comes around again, doesn't it?
So our members happy that we paid it on, so everybody
Okay.
and all those in favour.
Fair enough.
Carried.
Just two payments on the variable payments list. The office expenses and allowances for October to December, 252, which in fact is down on the previous year, I think, by about £40. Actually, more than that. It's down. It was 392 last year, so that was largely to do with the shop. There's an awful lot of running around, mileage, etc. So that's good news. That's all come down. And then Somerset Plainfield Association subscription, I put down there £15. That's the minimum. We can pay more if we wish. So it's a matter for us to decide whether we want to pay the minimum payment, Somerset Plainfield Association, or we want to pay more. That's your choice.
So, what are we getting from Sunset Plainfield? Why would we pay that?
Well, I think we just basically, obviously they do quite a lot of things behind the scenes, and they're a go-to organisation if we want to ask anything. Obviously they were the ones who ran the competition last year and won the prize, but also they're also doing a number of other, taking a lot of initiatives, particularly with, and come on to later, the annual.
Is this the one about the loan as well? They've sent an email about the loan.
Yeah, there are some loans available through them if we wish to apply. It's like one of this, like CPRE, we belong to them as well, and Somerset Association of Community Councils. All those subscriptions are things that we pay annually, and we pay them because it's nice to know that there is that particular organisation there if we need them, and what they cost is relatively small.
We're not planning to do anything major with the playing fields this year, are we?
The only thing we've talked about at the moment was the safer surface that we're going for the grants to help pay.
But that's just repairing that.
Yes.
But we're not planning to do any changes, or so would we really get a benefit from increasing if we go above the minimum?
We never have increased. We've always gone with their standard minimum.
It seems logical as we're not looking for anything to stay where we are.
So is everyone happy that we pay those two bills? That's not like all carried. Thank you.
As started a couple of months ago, I'm now sending you the payment list for the previous month, so you can see what payments actually went out. Because, of course, you agree the new payments, but of course, added to that on the payments list is all the statutory payments that have been paid as well. And it's important that you see that once a month to know that the payments are all being made as per agreements. We never used to have to do that, but it's something we're asked to do now. Nothing to agree on that, just unless you've got any queries on it. If you have a question,
do we need to acknowledge that we've received that one from you?
It should. When I send out the general meeting papers, very often I don't include the meeting, that particular one, because it usually is later on in the week that I'm able to get that together, because it's usually very close to the beginning of the month. I guess it's one of those things that perhaps you ought to.
I wonder if it's worth sending it out with the agenda and the meeting minutes, so
then
then we've got that one email, because that's the one I make sure I absolutely read, and some of the others I'm rushing just before the meeting to read.
And once you put the red on, that catches your eye and you go,
I didn't do that, did I?
No, and I didn't clock that.
Yeah.
I clocked the red. I must admit, it is effective.
Well, it was our late Sir John Harper that persuaded me to put something in red on emails, and so that's one of his.
He's the gift of giving.
But I'll do that in the future. I can't add the payments just to the main bulk. Okay? But unless there's any questions, there's nothing to agree to specifically.
But you'll note in the minutes that we've approved it.
Yeah, that's right.
Or we noted it.
Noted it, and
Okay.
So then
budget precept.
Budget precept. Well, of course, last month we had this big problem with this new PC getting stuff up on the screen. Now there's not much to say. Nothing's changed since last month in terms of the actual document is still the same. But you need to do now is start looking at whether you want to agree to the precepts or not. Right. Right, let's go into the meeting papers down here. And the project up there. Thinking about it. So, what we had last time around is that's the budget that you were happy to agree to in November.
Make it a tiny bit bigger.
Can we get it bigger than that?
Yeah, in the bottom right hand
Oh
corner.
yeah,
so
so
yeah.
It's
Just use the little plus.
Ah, is that any better?
Yes.
Good, okay.
Can see that.
So down the bottom we have the budget that you agreed in November. Because if you look across here, you've got a forecast of 81,000 for this year, and then you've got the budget for the forthcoming year set there. And of course then that automatically then takes itself over to the precept calculator, proposed budget there, 72,213. And as last month, 69,000 was the figure that it came out with as a precept, which is only 2.89% up on the previous year. So there was 68,000 this year, so it's the lowest percentage we would have increased for quite a number of years. And that's based on reserves of 6 months. So we've got 36,000 non-fixed reserves, that's reserves that are not allocated anywhere else. And then that's the actual figure. Now you can change that, of course, because look at the reserves calculator. There's your 36, which comes across. If you want to go more than that 9 months, you'd be 54, of course. And that would obviously put the precept up by a bit of a chunk. So the question is whether you're happy with that as a precept figure for next year, for 26, 27. Or if there's anything you want to change in the budget, because the budget's still open for change if you feel the need to make any changes.
Just two questions. Last year's reserve, what did we have? The general reserve. So we're saying 6 months this year, 36.
It's about the same actually. It's the same figure.
Did we need to use any of it? I guess is the question.
Well, we did use some of it, of course, but the
But we made a fixed reserve, we took it out of last time,
Yeah.
on specific project things. There wasn't anything that we used that we hadn't got planned
So I don't
for.
see a need for us to increase it.
It's always difficult because you don't necessarily know what's around the corner in terms
Yeah.
of chunk, but they are recommending still, SELC and SLCC are all still recommending 6 months as a minimum standard, and there are many parish councils only going for 1, 2 or 3 months, which is not enough, because if you have a problem during the year, you've got no reserves, no.
I was just thinking about what we were talking about earlier, okay, they're not significant costs, but if we are looking to replace stiles with gates or even stiles with stiles, so there's a cost we haven't forecasted for, if there's other things that come out, the footpaths, so there are known, unknown things that we just don't.
I also think there's a relationship between what your proposal for your precept is and your budget. So you've got a budget of 72 and your precept is 69. So there's a relatively close match. Where I always worry for the parish councils, they've got a budget of say 45 and they've perhaps got a precept of only 28. So therefore, straight away from day one, they're eating into their reserves. Which is the problem with my other parish council, which is where I had the problem. They were setting a precept of 36, same size as Brent Knoll, precept 36 with a budget of 49, and couldn't get them to shift. And that's very bad news, and it's irresponsible in my view. So that's why I think what we're doing here is probably the right thing.
I don't think Charlie and Jonathan were here at the last meeting, were you? So in our budget, there are fixed overheads, okay? But within there's a section which is variable, which covers all the jobs that we feel we've got to do, or money we need to do those jobs. And probably it would be a good idea if you just have a look at what we've put in against those jobs. So it'll answer your
There's the
questions
detail
on
behind
styles.
those.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that's where the debate was. The fixed costs are Owen's costs and what we've got to pay. So there's no movement there.
Well, I did have a look
we
through
know.
them, but if I look at general maintenance of £3,500, I have no concept of what that £3,500 means under general maintenance. Just to give an example, so in footpath maintenance, we've got 2,500 there, but is it 6? I know, I'm just giving examples here. So although it's okay to look at those, if we're not going into the depth of discussion, it's very hard for us to go, I okay, that £2,500 sounds a right amount, but is that the cost of
Well,
4
so
styles,
what-
10
It's based
styles?
on our past experience
Agreed.
over the years.
So I was just using it as an example when we're talking about putting our reserves for next year. When we came up with the 2,400, did we know about these other styles that we might need to do? And that's the question I
So on
did.
that, Charlie, the 2.4 was what we budgeted for last year. We've actually only spent about 1,500 this year out of that budget, but we've actually budgeted for next year. We put in over £5,000 for footpaths because we, as part of the discussion, we said we know we need to do some improvements and do some stuff. So,
Just use them as examples more than anything.
so it was. So hopefully we've got some coverage in there.
Yeah,
and as Owen showed earlier, we've got the half a year's worth of open reserve. There's also another 24,000 in there, which is the fixed reserve, which is things for specific projects. So that, so for example, the work behind the church at the moment is money we haven't spent. So that's showing as reserve.
It was, that's the case, it was more a case of when we were talking about should we go for 6 months, 3 months or 9 months, it's like, well, I don't necessarily feel we need it. There is a need for 9 months, but if there are things coming up, then hopefully having enough in the reserve for 6 months is sufficient.
They're the fixed reserves I can allocate at the moment. So we've got the clerk gratuity, which is effectively a pension, really, okay, looking at another language. Election reserve, which we add to each year. The remaining seal reserve, which we haven't yet used, so that could be used for a community project if necessary. Play reserve, we have exhausted this year, but of course we'll be putting another 2.5 into
Which we've budgeted.
We've budgeted. And then there are a couple of hangovers from the previous, so special projects, 5,000 odd, which we didn't use in 24-25, and we didn't use 7,000 in 20. So that's all additional funding which you've got available to you, should you need to.
And then the 6 months is on top.
Just going back to the play
We
reserve,
think
we've got no reserve there for this year going into it, but we've budgeted 2.5. That's not going to be enough, though, based on the cost of playing.
So we've also gone for grants for that as well. So we've applied to Nuttall for part funding for that as well. So and in fact, I think at the last meeting we agreed we were going for that and also some seating, pick and bench on the green. So we've applied for that for Nuttall.
There's a lot of the wooden, like the bridge, that's rotting. So there's going to be more costs, I think, than we're budgeting. Is my concern on the play equipment. Obviously, we won the award this year, we need to make sure we're in the running for it next year.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's where we're at, and it's a question really whether you are happy
Probably
to...
just to answer maybe quickly, if we had a bridge collapse and we have to fix it, as we were saying, we can put on spare money not committed for expending how much at this moment in time
Well, I mean, you've
with
got,
the new preset.
with the general reserve there set at 34,000, that means that technically that is available. So
we've got a pocket of money uncommitted of 34 grand.
Okay, that's fine.
And in terms of-
Does that answer
Yeah.
your concerns? Yeah.
And some fixed reserves as well, which you've carried over from the previous years.
So yeah.
And it's only a small amount, but there's £1,000 in for general play equipment, maintenance stuff during the year, some painting and that sort of stuff that if it came up, there's funding.
Mr. Chairman, we've gone through this in previous meetings, we've explained it now. Can I formally propose that we accept the sum of £69,966.20 as our precept for the fourth communion?
Can I just make one point and then I'll second? We were asked to come under the inflation rate of 3%, and I think 2.89 is under. All right, marginal, but it's under, which is what we were asked to do.
Would you like to know what Band D property would? I can tell you what Band D would be. Band D precept based on that 69,966. If we went for that, it means that the difference between last year's Band D and next year's is £1.96 per household on a Band D property.
That's for the year.
That's for the full year.
3 packets.
So yeah. So that just helps
How many
you
colours would that be?
try and explain to somebody why we put our precept.
Oh,
69. So I'm happy to second.
Okay, so we've had it proposed and seconded as suggested as 69,966. All those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. And thank you, Owen, for the
Well, at least it worked this time, anyway, that's one thing. I did come in here during the Christmas break just to try it out again and make sure. I couldn't work out why it didn't work last time, but anyway, it worked. And Charlie, this is the first time we've seen the shiny new laptop.
Very shiny and new.
Okay,
So that's good.
so that takes us on to the grants grants to local charitable organisations that have applied. So I think members have all had circulated to you Owen's report on who we had.
And I can tell you if you want to know what we did last year. I thought that might help with what Bob mentioned, one of them particularly, I just listed what we gave last year in terms of grants. Just a background, last year, 24-25, at this meeting, we granted Cure Parkinson's, 250, Western-super-Mare Samaritans, 250, Meet and Eat Group, 240, CAB, 100, and Re-Engage, 100. That's what we did last year. And what we've had this year, we've had Re-Engage coming back. I think it's their 4th year actually coming back to us, Re-Engage, for grants. The Meet and Eat Group again applied. We've also had it from the Brent Knoll Companions group. We've had a grant application from St Michael's Church, which has been running on for a while. They applied just a while back. And the Girl Guiding thing in Brent Knoll, of course, you had a letter, I think it was last month, was it, or November?
Yeah.
Which poses slightly more difficulty in terms of the way we would give them, but the others are all fairly legitimate, very legitimate.
If I can just comment on the Girl Guide one, we're not allowed to give grants to individuals. However, we do have the Brent Knoll charities, which we could as a body decide if we wanted to give a couple £100 from that to them as individuals. That's something we can do because it's not part of the precepted money that is the council's money. So there is a way we can help them, but we can't do it through the budget, so we can make that decision tonight, but it would have to come through the charities account, not from the normal account.
If we're going to talk about the Girl Guides one, because that's the complex one at the moment, I think it's right that we support our local Girl Guides and our local community. We don't have a lot of kids in the village, so it's really good to support them, I think. So I would be happy to propose.
You think something like a couple hundred?
That's what they're asking for, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I
it's
second it.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that, the charities account actually, it hasn't been touched for, as far as I know, at least 15 years. So I hope the thing works.
Yeah.
Hope it works.
How much is in there?
I'm just about to send a letter in.
1,500 quid roughly.
Yeah.
I think,
So we have a proposal from the charity account, we paid a couple £100 to them, all those in favour, please show. That's unanimous, excellent. So do you want to start at the top with Re-Engage?
So we did 100 last year, was it?
Yes.
100 last year, yeah.
They don't seem to be asking for a specific amount this year. So.
So it's Wendy Oakley Summers is the one who's applied. It's the group that do it's almost outreach for older people in the community. So they have teas and they get together and they have social events to try and get older people out of the house and meet each other.
I propose £100 again.
Yes,
All those in favour, please show. That's great. Then we've got the Meet and Eat group.
Last year was 240.
So one of the things that happened with them was it applies, to be honest, for both them and the companions. A lot of these smaller groups have now stopped having bank accounts because they get charged for the accounts. In the old days, the banks were free, they weren't anymore. So what we did last year with the Meet and Eat was we actually paid the grant to meet the cost of the hire of the hall, not to them. So if we were to do something with them or the companions, it would have to probably be the same.
So how much?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is the hall going to make a contribution to them, or do they get a lower rate?
They get the normal sort of local rate. So
Can
it's
we ask
lower
the
than-
hall to give them a contribution as well? Because effectively the council's paying the hall, which is a facility in the village for village people, and I just think the hall committee should also put some money in.
I think
I'm very happy to propose we
I
put
need to
some
step out of that part of the meeting. That maybe discussion I might be having elsewhere another time. So if I can hand over the vice chair.
Well,
Make peace the exit.
your moment has come, though.
From my perspective, this hall, know they run it slightly differently. It's part of the village. We're looking after village people. I'm very happy to propose that we accept the contribution, but believe we should be paying a reduced rate to the village hall because it's for village people and it's a charity.
Can I ask how much did we pay the village hall?
300.
240 last year, and they're
240.
asking for 300 this year.
How much are the companions asking for?
300.
They're asking for 180, the
The
Good companions, and this one's asking for 240.
240, so that's basically
300.
for hall hire.
Yeah.
I think you've got a bit of a point there, Andy, actually, that they should really be giving a bit of a concession.
Well, they should at least give a reduced rate because this is council parish's money
Yes.
to pay for an organisation which is a
Yeah.
village facility.
Yeah.
It
And
just
the
seems wrong.
meeting and the command, it is for like older people to enjoy. Yeah.
And I'm saying we should support it. Absolutely, we should support
Absolutely,
it.
yeah.
But I think we need to put a representation to the village hall that says they
As
need
a
to put up at least
subsidise it.
50%.
So I am a trustee from the parish council to the whole, so I'm going to abstain from voting and commenting, but I'm happy to take that proposal back to them so that anything.
You don't have to sustain it because you're our representative.
Right, okay. I don't know if I should vote either
You
way, so.
don't have to at this stage. If there was a decision taken on the
Okay.
basis of that, then you would. But at the moment, we're only putting a proposal.
That's why I haven't left
And
the
that's-
group,
yes,
so.
because we'll need you to
So
take
yeah,
it.
but I'm happy to take it, which is Monday, the meeting, so.
Right.
Chair, the meeting group, meeting E, and not just for older people in the village, it's from 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's for everyone to go in there and chat, because I've been there twice, and it's just to,
Just for
mingle with the community.
And I'm saying we should support it.
Yeah.
I have no,
100%.
but I'm just saying the village hall should also make a contribution.
Yeah.
This is village people's money that we're giving to a village facility. And it's not a business. It's part of our,
So
part of our community.
what would your proposal be
Yeah.
to the?
I think we should go 50-50, the hall and us.
Can I just ask, do we know how much, say meet and eat, are paying to the hall
It
per
costs
year?
them 300
300.
a year.
Is that what the hall hire is?
Yeah.
The whole
It's,
300
We can get an
in their-
accurate figure
In
from
their
from the
application
hall.
to us, they've said it costs them £300 a year in hall hire.
Bear in
Right.
mind that the higher charges that they pay for the hall must probably include cleaning, maintenance of the toilets, all this sort of thing. So the money isn't just going, I'm sure it isn't, you must know more than me about the village hall, how it's funded, but it does go to all the on costs as well.
Yes.
But I don't see how we can make a decision based on, we'll do this if you do that, when we don't know what that will do. And
No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying we should support it, but I think we should also represent the village hall, saying if the village hall has a surplus at the end of the year. So if they have a surplus at the end of the year, then some of that surplus should go towards events like this, and rather than us as the parish council using parish money to pay for that
No,
facility.
I absolutely agree with
Yeah.
the logic, and therefore you can't make a decision. You can't make a decision to give it for the hire of the hall. You give it to the organisation. You've got to, and it's
But
up
we
to
can't do that with this one. We
can't.
can't give it to the
Then
organisation.
you can't make that decision until the village hall have
You make
Yeah.
that contribution.
So how do we propose we go forward then?
So are we saying, I will take this as a proposal on Monday, that we ask the parish hall committee to pay half of the rental or the hire for Good Companions and half of the hire for Meet and Eat. We will also meet that half of that cost, so that's the proposal to them. If they give the nod, then I will
Then
come
you come
back and then we can make a decision in February.
Absolutely.
We
when
can
do that.
defer. I mean, the best thing is to just defer the decision until February.
February, yeah.
Okay? By which time you will come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one question on that. We're not causing those two charities issues, are we?
Because also,
Okay.
I was just going to say, if the hall turn around, like Colin said, and say, well, it's costing us X for electricity, X for cleaning, X for whatever, so that's our fixed cost for that, and anything above that is profit, then we can work with maybe that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
If they have a number that it's going to cost them, we'll say right, we'll make the balance.
Yeah.
It's just that they shouldn't make a surplus.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. I feel.
Yeah.
When we're doing it for a charity of our own.
Yes, I mean, like you said, we're using taxpayers' money, if you like, to pay for,
Yes.
Can I go revisit back to re-engage then? Because isn't there £100 also for the hire of the hall? Or is it-
They do it.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just those two meeting in good
Yeah.
payments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that action for me then.
I've been back with Charlie, I think it's a.
Oh, do you think you were? Well, not any more than normal, Colin.
you're making the biscuits, yeah?
So, defer.
Hang on, is there any more wall stuff?
No, it's not.
We could pretend there's lots more rules.
So, basically, what we've done is to defer two, one we agreed,
Yeah.
the other one we're going to charity, so that's
Yeah.
4 of the 5 that we sorted.
Yeah.
The other one, of course, is St Michael's Church, which Mr. Keeler has been,
So it sounds like they're saying that the quote they've agreed is for £1,400. I'm assuming they haven't asked for £1,400. They're just telling us it's £1,400, and would he be willing to make a contribution to it?
Hey,
I think we should make it, contribution to the church because it is part of, it's part of the village. I think we should make some.
No, I'm not disagreeing, I'm just asking what is it for, because I haven't read the note. Sorry?
Casting-a-tree.
Is the Ashtoyback? Yeah, we've got problems with that Ashtoyback up there.
That's fine.
We just as well put a tree for them, we're not paying.
1,400, that's quite a lot.
It's several
It's
trees.
ridiculous.
The trouble is, it's governed by the church, and they can't just get any Tom, Dick, and Harry to come and do it. It's
Oh, they've got to
to
have
be,
the church people.
it's-
and again, having said that, then we have to pay 1,600 for that.
I know,
Sorry?
I know.
You offered for nothing.
Yeah, I've offered for nothing as well, but I can't do it.
Yeah, okay.
Charlie.
How much do we have in the reserves for?
in January was about 1,400, it was our budgeted reserves, and under section 137, I mention that because section 137 is the vehicle that allows us to give a grant to local organisations, provided we have adequate evidence that it's beneficial to the community. It has to be beneficial to the community. And all those we've discussed at the moment, it definitely does. Definitely a benefit to the community. And I think all of them come into the category, so we're okay with qualification. It's just what we decide on the amounts, really.
So I would say I propose that we give £200 to the church.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, because the trouble is that Ashtoyback is going over the, which one as well?
So, footpath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a proposal? Is it 200?
Proposal.
So, seconded by Amanda.
Yeah.
All those in favour of 200, please show. Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, that's majority, by majority.
Just other things, just on the grants thing. In the past, we've had a couple of organisations that we've granted funds to. One is Devon Thoughts Air Ambulance, because they came to our meeting a couple of years ago and gave us a very good talk. And the other one is Western-super-Mare Samaritans, who last year we gave a grant to, because of course we had a sort of live issue, if it were, in the village, where they've been working with Network Rail on two suicides, and so they came. And the third one is Citizens of Vice, of course, which is Somerset Citizens of Vice. Now, those three organisations are all people we paid grants to in the past. And the reason why they haven't applied this time, and this is to defend their administration, is they don't have the people, any of these organisations, to send out letters to all the parish councils. So you tend to find that they are worthy causes, but they just don't have the resources to send out. So you might say, well, actually, I think they are worthy causes, and should we give them something?
How much did we give them on the ship?
Western Samaritans we gave 250. The previous year, we didn't give Air Ambulance last year. Previous year, I think it was 150 to Air Ambulance on the previous year. CAB we gave £100 to last year. So,
I think the air ambulance came to the village, didn't they?
Yes,
they
did.
Yeah, so I think I would propose that we actually
Can we give them £100 each?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking,
So
yeah.
is everyone happy that we do £100 for each of the three organisations?
Yeah.
All those in favour, please show.
I'm sure they'll be very well welcome.
Yeah.
And find that a very welcoming.
Thank you, Charlie.
Okay. All right, so that's okay, yeah, okay with that.
Internal auditor.
Yeah, again, like the annual parish meeting, it won't be very long before we start to appoint an internal auditor for the current year, certainly March anyway. And I like to do these things a little bit in advance. So Richard Young has been our internal auditor now for the past 10 years. Very experienced guy. He charges us a nominal amount, 50 quid, to do an internal audit. You know, I'm just asking you to confirm whether you're happy for him to continue.
Propose that.
Exactly.
All those in
Straight
favour?
away, 50
Yeah.
quid, why not?
Yeah.
Does he cut trees? Yeah.
Okay.
And this year will be a particularly hard internal audit because there's a couple of new things on this year which the council's going to have to agree that we've covered through the year. So there's a few changes this year, so it's important. Okay.
Right, that's National Grid proposals.
So yeah.
So basically, just an update really. So you'll remember at the last meeting we talked about National Grid looking at doing their transformer box, and we were asking if they could locate it in the corner at the front of the village green. They came back and have said yes, they can. The only thing they're still pending at the moment is a tree report to make sure about what the situation is with roots in the area. We have said in effect the trees that are on the green are not an issue. If they have to, if something has to happen to those, it happens. But obviously the tree the other side of the wall is TPO'd, so they need to just check what the situation is there. They believe it might mean that rather than it being sat right back up against the wall, it might have to move slightly forward on the green, but it would be, they're still aiming for it to be within that triangle that's behind the path. In terms of making it not too obvious, they are saying they can do featherboard around it, so it would be a wooden surround rather than a hard plastic box, which would again hopefully reduce its impact, and they would be looking to have gates opening out onto the car park from that, so they can get access from the car park without having to go through the green. On the plan they originally sent us, they had said they needed to put another wire through the village green, and were planning to put it up the side of the green, which is an earth cable, so that it can discharge into the ground if it has to. They double checked and they're not allowed to put it against the edge of the green because we've got a metal fence running up against the edge of the green, so they need to move it 9 metres away from anything that's in the ground that's metal. But it would be buried underground to a depth of about 1 metre, and they wouldn't have any problem with anything going over the top of it, so it would be channeled and buried if that were to go ahead. They will make provision for a future connection of potential charging points from it, so that capacity will be built in. And they've also said they're now looking at the potential of building into it the capacity to replace the transformers on the other side of the road that's up the pole. Apparently there's a very convoluted way that electricity goes around the village at the moment, and if they were able to consolidate it on the one box, that would actually make it better for not only the properties that are being affected up on Church Lane and beyond, it would also improve the access to electricity and the supply on the other side of Brent Street as well. So it does have a wider benefit. That won't be something they'll probably do in the first instance, but they're just making sure the capacity is there that they can do that if they want to. The thing they need from us basically is agreement that we would be prepared to sell them or transfer to them the land that it will sit on, and we have to give them access to get to it, the right of access to get to it, so that they have free access in the event of an emergency, that we're not going to suddenly start trying to put blocks in the way. They've also said they will help us in terms of things like the redoing the white lining on the car park post the work's being done to mark out the car parking spaces. Charlie?
With regard to transferring the land, is there, I'm assuming this is a land transfer deed, so there'll be solicitors involved, who's paying those costs? So will they?
We have said to them at the moment that we do not want to have any costs incurred by the council.
Can I potentially say we should also put some covenant in this land transfer that they will maintain this fencing and that if we're agreeing to a featherboard fencing, it doesn't get replaced in 6 months' time with an ugly see-through fence, because if they own the land, they can do what they like to it in the future. And we obviously don't want this ugly eyesore on our village green. We accept that it needs to be in there. So that's the only thing I would say if we're going to have that.
Sorry, Colin,
I'm sorry, just a quick question. Would the consideration of selling this land be set off against that they pay our costs and that they do the white lining and that they do the featherboarding? In other words, we're not going to sell it to them.
Yeah.
We're just going to say, we'll give it to you if you do this.
And I think they have to have like a nominal pound at least to show there's been a transaction taking place.
No, I was only going to say that where they need access to it, because obviously we've got a very tiny car park, does that mean that nothing would be able to park in that space ever
No.
by it? And presumably that would be the next space over, because if you can't have a car there, if they're going to be able to want to, so that they'll be effectively taking up 2 car parking spaces.
No, it shouldn't.
No, because it won't affect, it'll be behind it. If there's a car park in the nearest space to the green, it would be behind that, and it's only pedestrian access.
They only need pedestrian
Yeah,
access.
there's no.
Oh right, okay, so
access.
it won't make any so
No.
it won't impact on the car parking
It won't,
spaces.
it won't reduce car parking.
No, okay.
We specifically said that to them when
Yeah.
they got
Yeah.
signed. They said, look, you can see we've got a limited
And
space.
they're,
That's why
they're
we
going
want
to
to agree.
readjust the barrier anyway. I think
Yes.
discussed they were going to
Yeah.
give us a bit
Okay.
more space and redo our post and rail fence across the whole of the front of the green, I think.
Just thinking about the wooden panelled fence, and Charlie said earlier about it becoming an ugly eyesore. Can we not ask them to plant it up?
They did say that in their initial meeting. He did say we could put a hedge.
They put a hedge there.
The
Yeah.
problem is their access gate is obviously coming out onto the car park.
Yeah,
So it would be only.
We can't-
So it would only be around the 3 sides or 2 sides. If we could ask them to do that, then we don't
He
have
did
this.
say
this
that.
fear.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I don't know if
We'll put
everybody,
maintenance in.
I don't know what everybody feels, but I would propose that we allow Bob to carry on with this negotiation and get the job done.
Yeah, yeah.
All in favour? Yeah. Excellent, thank you. Which takes us on to website.
Yeah, the website upgrading is taking a little bit longer than I was kind of hoping really. It's dragging on a bit. I think Christmas didn't help really, because obviously we were having some discussions with Aubergine. And you saw the note from Dan Sabater, who was the guy we organised, Jonathan spoke to before Christmas. And he has obviously sent out some of what the notes are. And there's a few things there that we need to do, and obviously the main one at the moment is getting them the photographs, including some of the village photographs as well. I'm hoping that Richard Ibrahim may be able to help us with that, because he has taken quite a number over the years. So he may be able to help us with some good quality shots around the village, which can go on the website.
If that's the case, we will need to make sure that he signs over copyright to us, because we have to own those images.
Absolutely. I mean, Richard is doing it, fortunately not as a business, he's doing it as a sort of general interest thing. And then of course, the other thing then is, once they've got that set up, they've already agreed on that previous spreadsheet what's going to be included within it. And it's mostly what we've got now, really, but it's just done in a different format. And more, I don't know whether anybody's looked at Co-Rival or Nailsy. They're 2 good examples of Aubergine's recent work. Worth a look actually, because they, both of them are very good sites.
And so I only had a couple of observations on the spreadsheet. So with regards to who's maintaining it going forward, I know we spoke at several meetings ago about the things that are under the local area and the sports clubs and venues, and I know there's an additional cost if we want those. But when we spoke several meetings ago, it was made aware that we would have to have other people maintain the pages, but we would have to have overall publishing rights. Is that what we're still proceeding to do? So
nobody has any right to put anything on there apart from us. Yes.
So we could approve it.
And we would have a group of us who would be able
approvers
to actually make sure that happens.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I kind of was looking through how he'd sectioned it out, and I know they're going to set this up. It might be worth us discussion, maybe even just at the working group. I was just looking under the heading governance. I wouldn't think to look there for the councillors. I would look there under information. So there's a couple of, that's just one example, there's a couple of things I'm like, it doesn't make sense for it to be under there. Now these are very minor things, but if we're going to get them to set it up, we don't want to have to change that after the fact, because as soon as the site goes live, everybody will go and look to it, and they may not find it. So I'm happy to have a look at it this week and send those on, and between the three of us, maybe agree,
That's right.
at least feel more sensible places.
Make it user friendly.
Yes.
I'm not sure about that. But,
And of course, when we come to the end of the year AGAR report, assertion 10, which is this new thing that the council can decide to say that we are now website compliant. So obviously, if we can't, it's important we get it done before then, because otherwise we won't be able to tick that box. So we won't be website compliant. Now it won't fail the audit. What it will simply do is they'll come back and say, you passed the audit, but there is a condition on the audit, which I don't particularly want to have unless we can avoid it.
just one last thing, did we agree a date where they're working to, that we got tentative go live, so March? Okay.
Andy?
Yeah, it's okay.
And the .gov.uk thing is another thing. I mean, is everybody, I mean, obviously, the idea is that parish council have .gov.uk address effectively. Now we can do all the emails that way, presumably, and if we need any help on that, I've got a man who can come here to Brent Knoll and help us with it if we need to set everybody up at the .gov.uk, which is the ideal situation, to be honest, because it means then if there's any freedom of information requests by anybody, you can just simply use the .gov.uk email. So, you know, it's just a side issue to it, really. But it's important.
That was one of the things I was just going to mention, Charlie sort of touched on it, about when we go live with the new one. The old website has expired, hasn't it? And there is the potential that we need to extend its life.
Yes, we do.
Do you want to give the update as to what we heard back from Dave?
Yeah, Dave McMillan said he's now effectively given up pretty well all of his sites now. They've all moved away. The only ones now he's got left now is Ipswich and Brent Knoll. And he's happy to continue those till the end of February, or probably would extend to March if necessary. Because he's local, he's been obviously more cooperative with us than he would have been with, say, other clients. So he will, instead of charging his normal annual fee, which of course he won't charge us, he'll just charge us month by month. I think it's about 40 or 50 quid a month. For the 2 months, January and February, that we will end up paying for, and then not the whole year, which is what he would normally invoice this time of the year.
What's happening with the site then? So hypothetically, we go live with Aubergine 1st of April. This old site, is there going to be an automatic redirection? Is there going to be a single page?
They wouldn't look at that, didn't they? The guy who
Yeah,
spoke to
just
us all
they
the way.
redirect the old ones.
Right, okay.
Is that enough? I'm just wondering if there's enough time, because obviously they were encouraging us to try and move as much data across ourselves. They would charge us to do it, but obviously there's obviously a cost. If he's only going to host the old site until March, and the new one doesn't go live till March, and these is days, if not weeks.
There might be a period where we don't have a website running.
But will we be able to get access to the old data for the old pages to cut and paste to move them across to the new ones?
We can ask that question, clearly.
Yeah.
We need to ask him.
Why don't we just ask him if he'll go month by month until we're happy and we close
I
it?
think Dave will. I think he'll continue as long as we
Would that be more useful?
That would give it less time pressure then, isn't it? And less mistakes. 'Cause
So we're basically looking between £20 and £30 a month.
Yeah, roughly.
So it's not much money,
No.
and if it makes it easier for the team.
Yeah.
Because the issue is you can't just cut and paste. You've got to cut, reformat it to make sure it is within the guidelines. And that will take a bit of time to get used to.
And then we need to go on to, we need to be trained, of course, on the use of it.
So there's a good chance our old website will probably be up for another month or two beyond the live deadline.
So go back to the gates with Dave on that.
Yeah, I'll liaise with Dave on that, and I'll also speak to Dan to let him know what our
And just members are happy we carry on that basis with the existing site.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We've got no further update on the Dropbox.
Take it off the agenda now. The update was that they're on about power because the solar panels, because of between the two buildings, it's not going to get much power to the actual Dropbox. And I said, well, you're not putting no power to the building at all, mate. So they said, well, come back in a few months, whatever then. So just take it off the agenda because we've forgotten about it now.
All right.
All right.
D is the flood alleviation project. So hopefully members saw the information I circulated earlier today, which is in effect we have now had some paperwork come through from FWAG, which is their final submission that is going into Sunset Rural Authority. Yes, all these acronyms. So in effect, what they've come up with now is the part of the project that they are grateful for the grant is the works within the wood on the Mills Roberts land, the work within the Mills Roberts land coming down the drain and doing the slowing the flow, and then also clearing out the ditch to the right hand side of the footpath that goes up the Linham's field and putting in the slow the flow elements in there. The grant that they're going for is 100% funding for that, because it's on the basis that they know that there's other parts of the project that we're putting funds into, which obviously relates to the footpath side of things, which they weren't able through the Somerset Rivers Authority to go anything on that element. So what they basically need from us is the agreement that we're happy for them to go ahead, and there's other documentation within there that we need to give them the bank details to where the grant will be paid, subject to us saying yes. We have the other thing they said in their papers was they wanted to go back and confirm that the quote that they had for doing the work was still valid. They've actually just contacted me today to say they've now heard back from the guy and there's no change in that quote. So they're happy to go and apply for the money now from SRA. If we're happy to go ahead on that basis. Colin?
This is the guy that's in this document that's provided the price
Yes,
for doing this work.
Correct.
The only, I mean, I've gone through it, I'm more than happy with it. What about maintenance of these, what they're termed leaky dams?
So
who's responsible for?
So on the Mills Roberts lands, it's Mills Roberts.
Okay.
And on the bit that goes up the side of the footpath, that will probably fall to us.
Okay.
But David, I think we want to say
No,
how much maintenance.
That's covered it. I think it's pretty minimal maintenance, to be honest, like looking at it, and I suppose we'll have to cut it back more often than we do now, but that probably wouldn't be the worst thing anyway.
Okay.
It seems quite a good price for the amount of work that's being carried out, in my mind, and then we can add our elements in once they've done the initial.
Will our will our work on the footpath have to be designed to match the leaky dam installation, particularly on the linear side?
It is. It's because we're going to regrade that footpath off, so any water that gets on it, which should be minimal anyway, by the time they clear it out, it will be cambered off, so it will all go
into
in.
the existing
it will go
ditch.
into the channel. It will be cambered, but you won't really notice it. But it'll be enough that it will hold a stone surface, and the stone won't disappear, which would be a good start.
Which is what I asked for.
Yeah, part of the other part of the project is the bit that we need to get reconfirmed with, because we had quotes from Kenny, you remember, a few months ago about doing the ditch above the path that's behind the church, and also that involves some piping, so connecting up the ditch that we've just been talking to that one behind the church, so you don't end up with that water jump that you have to do at the moment through the kissing gate. But that would be part of the project, and that's part of the funding of the 12,000 that we've got in our budget from special projects.
I was going to just say, so the grant that you guys have managed to bring in, apply for, that we would have had to pick that up anyway when we first looked at this project, wouldn't we? So we're actually going to be spending a lot less than we thought we were going to be spending.
Yes.
I think that's a real win
Well,
for the village.
we were quite surprised they were going to 100% grant fund it.
It's a huge win.
I think we propose it because of the time we've been waiting for this to be done and that lot. I think we propose it and get it going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those in favour, please shout. Okay. So you need to just make sure we've got data to send back to them in terms of bank accounts and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll have a look at it, yeah, I think again.
Excellent.
Information.
Okay, annual play inspection.
I have spoken to Richard Young now, and he suggested that we should have an annual inspection of the play area separate from the people who do it now, GB Sports. So they do the monthly ones, but we also have a second, a different string to our bow for the annual one. And we can do this through Somerset Playing Field Association. Comes back to your point earlier on, actually, about what we get for that. And they do them in normally May, June, and July. That's the normal time scale they do them, rather than immediately. Because I said to Richard Young, I said, is it possible for us to do one, say, in February or March? He said, not really. He said, because they do annual inspections in the summer, not generally through the beginning of the season. So I guess what we could say to them is, can you do it early as possible? So whatever, you know.
Is there an additional fee for Somerset?
About £100 roughly.
Okay. And what do we pay for GB Sports every month?
Well, we pay the monthly fee of £36, but
Right.
then we
Yeah.
also pay an annual fee for their annual inspection of about 95,
Similar.
roughly the same.
Yeah. When I was last here, I went on one of the health and safety inspection, so-and-so's with GB Sports, wasn't it? They paid for it and whatnot. I think that's a good thing. If any more of them come up, I think a few others could go to one of them as well, because I learned a lot about little 20 screw and stuff like that, and what goes on in building them, replacing them, fixing them, whatever. And they took us around the playground, and they treated us like kids, and they were saying, right, can you say what's wrong with that? And we had to say what was wrong with it and stuff like that. So I think, going within, if we can have a word with them, see if they got any meetings coming up, and a few more people can go and that lot. And I'd like to go to build mine back up.
That might be Somerset offer as well, rather than GB Sports. They might offer something as
The
well.
Playing Fields Association do one, it's either annually or every other year, where they do exactly what Amy's just described of giving that training.
It's a good thing if we can.
Right, one of the benefits again of the member.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll go back to Richard and see if I can get him to confirm that we could do an earlier date in May, June, July.
Okay.
Um,
And we haven't heard anything back in terms of Nuffle will be normally it's mid to end of January, isn't it?
Normally,
Yeah.
The Clark's one probably won't be until March, April.
Okay.
They have quarterly meetings, so it may not be anything from them until April.
Okay. Anything else on that? If not, we'll move to last report. Comment? No.
Signs for cold calling.
We're encouraging it.
Yeah.
Your house.
This way.
Only when
Small
it's
shop.
cold.
All the cold calling.
Yeah, only when it's cold.
Yeah.
Jane?
No.
Yeah. Is there any chance we can move that flagpole, because that, when we put a flag up, that is hitting them cables. We want it really in the green, in this front green now, or somewhere like that, because that cable, I know it doesn't take electricity because it's BT, but it's wrecking the flags because of the friction.
Well, obviously we'll stick it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Can members before next meeting just have a look at possible locations where it's actually where it's visible and not affecting? And don't forget the green outside the front of the shop has got an awful lot of utilities underneath there as too.
Good point, Kevin. And
But have a look and see where there's other options.
We should have incorporated it with the shop building, shouldn't we? Flagpole.
Where is the current flagpole at the moment?
At the front of the car park.
But no, it's not where they wanted to put the new electricity.
No.
Down. I was going to say, they could pick that as their cost.
The slight difficulty we've got is obviously if you move it back to the village green,
can't see
you
it.
won't see it
Yeah.
much from the road, so because you're blocked off by the houses on one side and the hall on the other. So, but it'll be interesting to, well, as I say, have a look before next meeting. We'll stick it on the agenda to discuss.
One more.
Yes.
Has the council thought about getting defib down the bottom end of Brent Knoll? Like on the Red Cow or something like that?
hospital.
Because I have been talking to SADS,
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, we'll,
I'll look at
we'll put defib on.
because I think, you know,
Yeah.
we should have, you know, at least 2 or 3 in areas.
Definitely talk of that one.
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I'm sure we discussed it like 2 meetings ago.
anyway,
It wasn't that, it got talked out because there was a 50-50 split. So I think it's worth having a
that was a
conversation
long
again.
time ago, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought more recently we talked about the red cow run for having one.
I mean, it used
Yeah.
to be a monthly agenda item.
I was here when he
Yeah,
mentioned it, so it's in the last 1 month.
When Andrew was going back.
It's,
I think the conversation will be different.
it's because the people that raising the money for, and they put defibs everywhere, they raise the money, and they asked me about Brent Knoll, and I said, well, we've got one at the school, and that's it. We've got nothing down Burton Road, you know, Station Road area, that area. So the nearest point would be the Red Cow to have it on, because there's no other, because I don't think people who own houses along there will want it on their house.
Yeah.
You know, because you will need a little bit of electric, sometimes they're all battery ones, but, you know, it's something to look at.
Okay, so put that on the
Yeah.
agenda. Jonathan? Tracy?
I just have, do we have the ability to create a footpaths map with styles? Because very often you guys talk about where all these styles are, and I'm like, I have no comprehension of where
Oh, so that's for a
There
second.
are maps, but it doesn't say what the kind of access is, because obviously that gets changed.
The other thing is if you go on to the Somerset website, there is an actual footpath thing where you can report on the map.
Right, okay.
Styles, bridges, the whole lot is all indicated on there. That's the one that we use for printing off up the top for.
If anybody could share a link to that, because
Yeah.
if nothing else, I'd like to print out a massive map, and maybe in a working group we go, that's so-and-so style, that's so-and-so
Yes,
style.
that's a good idea actually, so we say that's the style there.
Yes, yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So, but if somebody has a link to some kind of ordnance survey map, which would have all the,
Yeah.
Family members all had the one with the footpath map, marley in colour.
No, we're not like that.
Some of the old members haven't either.
It's in the shop.
Does anybody have it?
Yeah. We had them in the shop. They're in the shop because it says on there, Brent Knoll walks.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That was one done by the parish council 20 odd years ago. Reproduced
Oh.
so they haven't changed. But it's a shop run out. I print off a few more of that.
Yeah, that's more in the shop.
Okay, I can't
If we could have that, let's have
Out of date
I'm happy to, I'm happy to explode it so it's a lot bigger, so when we need to discuss them, we bring it out on the table and go.
So you're putting it
I've got
down.
one at home which has got little pins in it. It's where all the things are.
So when we have a recce at your house then?
So you want to put it on the dining room wall? do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like this,
Okay,
That's it, that's what
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
But that one only
So
gets you
that was the only
halfway
issue.
there.
yeah.
That's what you know what you're looking at. If you know, you
Lovely,
know.
in which case that brings us to the end. Thank you all very much. We'll
Thank you.
close the meeting.
Thank you.